realize that you've been getting in your own way in life? Well, that was me today. Okay. I have been feeling very kind of like stuck and stagnant, even though there's a lot of things that are moving in my life and I'm getting more successful. But then there's been some like self-sabotaging behaviors, because if you're not used to like new levels of success and you're not kind of like working with your subconscious at the same time and your inner children, like that can be really scary. And so those are things that I've been actively working on, but I've had like a ton of imposter syndrome come up, and I've almost like feel not disconnected from my body, but like disconnected from my self-identity, like the older version of me that I'm shifting away from. And so that's also when you know that you are quantum shifting, like you're about to head into a new timeline, parallel reality, if you will. And so I've just been holding a lot of space and grace for myself. I've been hecka tired, and so I've been resting a lot, because that also happens when you're shifting. So today I was reading this book. I highly recommend getting this. Okay, it's Cackle, and it's by Rachel Harrison. Not to give like too many details, but it's very witchy-esque. And it's basically about the main character is not valuing herself, and she's kind of following like victimization mode, and she's been getting in her own way about, oh my gosh, my friend literally is messaging me saying, which books did you read? That's so funny. Okay. But she's blocking herself from her own powers and her own manifestation abilities. And I was like, wow, this really sounds like me. And to some extent, like that has been me like most of my life, but I've been doing so much better like in all those different areas. But you know, like we're human and all those things come up. So I was like, you know what, I need to mix it up, like the energy. So this morning I took my son to the flea market. That was super fun. He enjoyed that. And then we went to this like big giant thrift mall. It was super cool. And I went to a new apothecary in town, and then he wanted to go stay at one of his friends' houses. And I was like, I need to go on a walk. Like I felt very dysregulated, and so I drove, and then I read the rest of this, and I felt something like shift inside of me. And so get out of my car, and I went to go drive I know there's in stores all over the place, but I went to go drive at a this super luxurious nice neighborhood, because I was walking around in it, like I'm getting used to getting accustomed and being in places and spaces like that, and it was great. And so I wasn't listening into anything, because I realized that I've been kind of like oversaturating my mind with too much content from other people recently. So I said, I'm just going to be with myself. And then I started crying on my walk, like releasing all this stuff that was trying to come up. And I was thinking about my name, because my name used to be Brittany, but now it's Sage. And I was thinking like, who am I outside of Sage? Like outside of this human experience, because that's just one reflection of me, but I have all these other like vast, you know, versions and multitudes of gifts and abilities and experiences and knowledge and wisdom. And sometimes I get so constricted into my self-identity of Sage, like I'm a mom, I'm a coach, like, you know, all these different things. Okay. and I'm like, but I need to spend some more time connecting to the bigger version of myself, because, you know, the trauma and PTSD that you live through and the limiting beliefs that cause all these distortion filters, right, that create your reality out in front of you. And I have a completely different experience than I did like 10, 15 years ago, but I've always connected with future Sage, and that has really kept me going. Okay. Like the next version of self that I'm moving into. But today I was like, I need to get outside of that. Like I need to start connecting to these different timeline versions of myself, like more of my multidimensionality, because what if there's something like so much bigger outside of what Sage had planned for her in this soul incarnation, in this contract? Okay, like that's big stuff. Like I can see down the timeline, but still, I'm like, I think there's a lot more that is accessible to me if I step outside of this container of self. And that's what I really enjoy helping other people with. Step outside of themselves, like see their life in new perspectives and connect to their multidimensionality. And I was like, I need to do more of that for myself. Okay. So I'm going to do that. But after I got done my walk, I was like, okay, how can I set myself up for success this week? Like, future Sage, okay? So I was like, I'm gonna go to the grocery store and I'm gonna meal prep and I'm gonna make chili because my son asked me to do that, and I'm going to recenter and refocus on what are the things that help keep me in alignment, like reading. I haven't read in forever, and that helps my imagination and my creativity so much, and like tapping into my magic. And so I made it a point to go to Barnes and Noble and get some new books, and I've read 2 books in like a week. Okay? Instead of like scrolling on TikTok or like watching Netflix, doing my Duolingo, learning a new word every day, you know, being with self, like going in meditation and speaking to me, because that walk was just so beneficial. And I realized, again, I know this chat's all over the place, but I don't need to apologize for that though. That's a ping from my higher self. Like, don't apologize for that, okay? Because I like hearing people that are all over the place. Oh, now I lost what I was going to say. Well, anyway, it's gone. I wanted to come on and share this because everybody goes through these things, and it helps me a lot when I'm listening to other people go through experiences like this. I wouldn't necessarily call it dark night of the soul. It's just identity shifting. And it can cause a lot of stress and anxiety and chaos to come up sometimes because you're stepping like so far out of yourselves and out of your norms. And so if this brings you some peace today, that makes me really happy. I hope you have a magical, magical day. And remember to say follow for more.